Okay, we are recording. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jana. If you don't know me, I am an RN. I help nurses, moms, and caregivers tune into their self-healing superpowers, embody themselves so that they can feel free, confident, and empowered. Today, I have created a workshop to go over what really makes us sick and what we can do about that to live a vibrant, radiant, in vibrant radiance. So just a little about me. I have been an RN for over 20 years. I worked mostly in critical care in GI, gastrointestinal, as well as bronchoscopy, mostly. And it was mostly actually in GI that I started noticing that you really weren't doing much to help people. People were coming in with symptoms. We were doing a procedure and then usually finding nothing or finding an ulcer and then putting them on a drug and not really addressing the whole person. And so I noticed that and I started taking a training in nurse coaching, which really resonated more with me. And it's about helping people to really get to know themselves and to uncover what maybe could be at the root cause of disease. So that's where I'm coming from today. And I have created this workshop to share with you an overview on what really makes us sick and what to do about it, how to optimize our health. So I'm going to share my screen because I've created some slides. And here they are. And I haven't done it this way before, so let's see if it works here. I'm going to start the slideshow. All right. Let me see if I can move my picture. What really makes us sick? A guide to healing and preventing a disease. So there's a little typo there, sorry. This is my first time going through this, so bear with me. Okay. Beliefs and expectations. So first of all, I invite you to just noticing that our beliefs play a key role in how we experience the world and reality. We have all been brought into this world with certain conditions going on, certain beliefs, and many of them may actually be superstitions or just something that we've always gone along with and maybe never questioned. Because that's just what we've always been told. That's what our parents did. That's what our teachers did. That's what our grandparents did. And that's totally okay. That's not about judging anything. It's just about awareness that our beliefs really do shape how we see our world, how we see our health, how we see our bodies, how we see our relationships. So there's a chance that some of this presentation that I'm going to bring forth may challenge or contradict certain beliefs that you may have around health and disease. And I'm saying this because as I was learning these things, once I really left the medical system, being a yoga teacher and learning about breath work and the importance of breath work, I was quite, what's the word? Really in disharmony with the covering of the airways in the hospitals, especially for healthy people, because that was something that we hadn't before practiced and didn't make much sense to me. And knowing that breath really is our connection to our life force energy and which in yogic terms is prana, and really our God connection, depending on how you look at it. So that really, really got me to question my beliefs. So that's why I just invite you to just open your mind, and let's start with a clean slate and just noticing if anything that comes up, any triggers that come up, not judging them at all, trying not to judge me, and take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm just here to share what I've been studying and what I'm passionate about. So there really are only three things that actually make us sick or experience dis-ease. So if you break down the word disease, it's really just dis-ease in the body. The body is always trying to maintain a state of homeostasis. And when things get discoordinated, then it's dis-ease. And that disease could be chronic or acute, meaning long-term, over time, things get really skewed or out of whack, or acutely like traumas. So the three things that make us sick, number one is malnourishment. Our body is not receiving fundamental nutrients we need to maintain this homeostasis. And a big one is to not maintaining the nutrients that it needs for excretion of toxins. Number two is toxicity. We are living in a pretty toxic environment. It takes effort to not poison ourselves these days, actually, with our food sources being poisoned, our water. And this isn't to be fear-mongering or scaring at all. This is actually to be empowering, just with awareness. Number three is trauma, and this includes stress and unhealed emotional wounds. A lot of this can be subconscious, keeping us self-sabotaging, keeping us in old cycles, and also keeping our nervous system in fight or flight, which is contraindicated for healing. The body is a beautiful orchestra that innately knows how to heal when provided the right environment. The body is not your enemy. There's nothing in the body that wants to hurt you. The body is always working to maintain homeostasis, balance, harmony. And when the cells of the body find something out of whack, like, for example, a pH that might be too acidic, then it takes certain nutrients, certain salts, minerals to buffer that, to create a more neutral environment, homeostasis. And the body is innately wise and knows how to heal. Our job is to nurture and provide the environment that our body needs to maintain this homeostasis so that we can be radiant and have our best health. So let's go back to those three reasons why we get sick. The first one I mentioned was malnourishment. So why are we malnourished? Obviously, poor diet and education around the diet. There is so much information out there about the best ways to eat. Should you eat meat? Should you not? Should you eat veganism, vegetarianism? How many carbs? Should you not eat carbs? And it is so overwhelming that it's really just this is why I think that our connection to our own innate knowing and our own gut health is so important, because and that goes along with stress, like being able to be relaxed enough that we can listen to the messages of our body and know what type of diet is best for us. And also in the phase of life that we're in, somebody might feel really good on a vegan diet in a certain phase of their life, and then they may start craving meat, and that's your body telling you that you're missing a nutrient. And being able to honor that is very powerful and empowering, rather than sticking to something that you've been told is the best thing to do. Really being able to tune into your body and know what's going to nourish you as well. Gut health has been compromised. So our guts are, we have three brains. I'm sure you've heard. We've got our mind brain, heart brain, and gut brain. And these all give us information about what's going on in our energy field and in our bodies and our health. So the gut is very important as far as tuning into our intuition, as well as creating and maintaining mental health. A lot of our serotonin, which is responsible for wellness, is created in the gut. And this has been compromised with our current environment. and diet. Glyphosates are huge in our foods, and that has just torn apart our gut, creates leaky gut. Antibiotics as well, gets rid of healthy microbes that help us digest things. Preservatives lead to poor absorption. So if we're not able to absorb the nutrients that we need, then we need to think about different ways of absorbing them, which could be through the skin. We can do transdermal things as we're healing our gut. And another one also is not getting enough sun. The sun is an important nutrient that we need, and this is often overlooked. So if every time you go outside, you're wearing sunglasses, then you're losing out on getting that solar energy, which is an important cascade event for vitamin D. And vitamin D is also very important for a lot of our gut functioning as well. And it's beyond vitamin D too. That solar energy has information for our bodies to adapt really to our environment. So getting sun is important. And then I just found this meme, which I thought was a little funny but true. 99% of my grocery shopping is taking items off the shelf, reading the label ingredients, cringing, and then putting them back. Pretty much. Especially when I had my son and I started learning about the chemicals and toxins that are in our food. I think one of the biggest culprits is seed oils. It's really hard to find things that don't have seed oils in them, and it's just toxic poison for our metabolisms. And then dyes, chemical dyes, like in candies, like Skittles, like the red dyes and stuff that just wreaks havoc on our nervous system and our guts. So most of our food is loaded with chemicals and toxins that prevent proper absorption and actually add to our toxic load that our bodies are always working to neutralize. So by taking this stuff in, you're making it more difficult for your body to maintain that homeostasis because it's already working in the environment we're in with the air and the water, and then the chemical products we use. The body's working overtime to really maintain that healthy state of homeostasis. So organic foods, staying on the outside of the grocery aisles is a general rule of thumb. Starting with small changes, because this can be really overwhelming. And I'll probably mention that again, but start small, start adding more natural things, start, like if you're used to having like frozen meals that are pre-made, maybe once a week, making something from scratch, trying a new recipe with like actual real foods, and just working it in, because these things take time and you don't want to overwhelm yourself, and you don't, because that will lead to self-sabotage. Number 2 is toxicity. So our food, water, we've already kind of touched on this. Clothes, skin products, shampoo, cleaning products, they're loaded with chemicals not appropriate for our consumption, and they really wreak havoc on our elimination pathways and our ability to get rid of these toxins. And they can affect our nervous system. They affect our ability to make energy, make us sluggish, our ability to even think, brain fog, and our just overall health. So there are choices we can make here. This, like I said, it's not about scaring anyone, but it's about empowering us to be aware and noticing our mindset around it. So choices are food, of course, which we touched on, skin, hair products. And you don't have to dump everything right away, but gradually working in more natural things, noticing on your deodorant if there's metals in it. You can even make your own things. And there's a lot of local companies that make natural products, and it would be amazing to start supporting them. Like as we build communities that are more local, going to farmers markets and supporting people that are making natural things. You can moisturize your skin with natural oils. You don't need all those chemicals. Another lack of exercise that is or sweating that's preventing kind of keeping toxins stagnant. So exercising is a good way to help flush things, drinking lots of water to flush the system. And then environmental, there are some things that we really can't help, but we can help mitigate just with more awareness. So we have an environmental exposure to electromagnetic frequencies that are increasing and increasing these days, such as, you know, our phones, our computers, our Wi-Fi, anything, even like dirty electricity, having something plugged in by your head at night can create sort of a chaotic, energetic energy around you, and that can distort your energy field. We are all energy. And I know that like it's hard to, you know, we're social beings, and we can't just like isolate ourselves, because that's not healthy either. And we're going to be around people who have their phones, and you want to have your phone as well. But just being aware that there are things you can do. Shungite is a good one. There are certain stones you can use. That there are companies that make things you can put on your phone to decrease the EMF exposure. Not using the earbuds, but having the cords, because if you use the earbuds, you're always getting that signal going through your brain. That's a big one. Turning off your Wi-Fi at night, or using one of those, can't remember what they're called, but the cages around your Wi-Fi. Another one is our clothing too, like polyesters and plastics. We're really absorbing a lot of those chemicals and plastics through our clothes. So working in more linen and wools is actually preventative and protective from EMFs. So if you are going to choose linen, just straight linen will actually protect you. So it's a really great thing to use for your bedding, or wool, one or the other, not both together. And then like 100% cotton. Plastics are a big one as well, that can really lead to hyperestrogen dominance within our bodies. And that's a whole nother subject altogether, but just being aware as well of what you're putting your food in, maybe starting to use more glass than plastic, for example. And the third one, which we talked about, is trauma. Sometimes we cannot avoid trauma as much as we like to. And these are the times where our Western medicine come in very handy, with orthopedics and trauma healing. But unresolved emotional wounds, childhood traumas can really affect our current state of health. And even more so than we realize, because a lot of this can be subconscious. We can, when we experience trauma, we tend to store these memories as fragments in our brains, or in our consciousness. And so we don't even really fully remember. We create stories around it and maybe don't even remember consciously what happens. I think that happens a lot with certain childhood traumas. And so when triggers come up, for example, if somebody was hurt as a child by somebody that wore a certain cologne, maybe they don't remember what actually happened, but when they smell that cologne, they could have a panic attack. And that's the subconscious mind going into a fight or flight state. So unresolved emotional wounds are huge. So that is something to address. Leads to anxiety and stress, which affects our nervous system. And our nervous system is so important in digestion and healing as well. We need to feel safe in our environment. So the stress response in our body is the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic is fight or flight, and that is what we tend to be in a lot when we're working, running around in traffic, having deadlines. Our body is not in a state of healing when we're in that sympathetic fight or flight response. We are in a state of survival. The rest and digest is the parasympathetic nervous system. And it sometimes takes a little work to actually kick in the parasympathetic nervous system. But it's so important because we can't really digest and heal unless we are in a state of this rest and digest. So activities that can help us get out of this sympathetic fight or flight are some of my favorite is breath work, having a bath, getting a massage, anything that really can help get you out of that state. And even like somatic work. If you think about animals, animals have stress. Animals are in a state of survival. And when they get that sympathetic rush, that's the adrenaline comes in and the cortisol, they have a predator after them, then they'll run. And then when the predator is gone and the threat is no longer there, then they shake it off, literally shake it off. And then they can get into their resting state. And we can learn from that by doing somatic work. Dancing is really good at moving energy, or shaking, jumping. And that also helps with lymphatic drainage, which helps with detox too. So it's a win-win. Stored emotional wounds can also affect the mitochondria of the cells, which are the energy centers on a cellular level. So all the more reason to have emotional wounds addressed. And this could mean working with a somatic healer, a professional coach, therapist, and really getting to know yourself, getting to know your triggers. And then I put this quote here, less than 1% of diseases are connected to genetics. Over 90% of illness on the planet is due to stress and lifestyle. So what do we do with this information? We know the 3 causes. So the first thing to realize, like I said, you are not a victim. I think that we have kind of been programmed, and I know I was as a nurse, that we are victims to disease, and we have to go in and have someone of authority help take this disease away from us by giving us medications or surgery. But I invite you to consider an alternative, that you're not a victim and you are empowered to create the life, the health, the radiance that you desire by taking responsibility for your health with such knowledge. So to become empowered with knowledge and take action towards cleaning up your internal environment, being aware of your environment, and it's taking responsibility for your health and not outsourcing for quick fixes. This also requires self-awareness and a connection to your inner wisdom and your gut knowing. And then another quote I put here: the first step to recovering from any illness is to stop fearing and fighting it. It creates resistance, and what resists persists. And understanding that it is ultimately the result of a combination of factors that are in your power to change, such as diet, lifestyle, beliefs, relationships, and environment. The relationships, that's an important one too, because relationships can really, our whole world is based on relationships, our relationship with food, our relationship with people, our relationship with stress. So if there are relationships that are not conducive to healing for you, then maybe an invitation to reassess and end those relationships or shift them in some way. So what happens if our elimination pathways are not working properly? So we know that we're in a toxic environment in general. Our elimination pathways are digestion and clearing abilities of our body to get rid of these toxins, the things that we don't need, even the emotions that we're holding on to and that are stored. And the main elimination pathways are the skin, the breath, the bowels, and kidneys. In a way, the kidneys are more kind of a water balance. So they're not necessarily getting rid of the toxins. That's more of the bowels and liver, but the kidneys, they filter the blood, and then they give information, I guess you could say. So the urine that comes out is actually not a waste product, but it is a filtrate. So just a little bit of information, and that's a whole nother topic as well. The kidneys produce the urine, which actually can be your best medicine too, if we start talking about that. But that's for another subject. The urine contains stem cells, which can really help give your body information to heal. So our elimination pathways get backed up when our toxic load becomes too much for our body to excrete. Our brilliant body is always attempting to maintain homeostasis, as we said, and flow, pH, and proper function of cells. So that's just an example. Like I said before, if our pH becomes too acidic, then our body will pull calcium from the bones to buffer the acidity to make it more alkaline. And if we're deficient in that calcium, it can lead to weaker bones. So that it's just showing how it's creating this homeostasis. And so our job, it's important to ensure that we're nurturing what our body needs to maintain this homeostasis. If we know that we're in an acidic state, and we have been for a long time, then maybe considering taking a calcium supplement to help buffer, and addressing why we're acidic, which is usually because too much sugar causes acidity. So if too much toxins build up in the body will sequester these. If too much toxins build up in the body, will sequester these toxicity to areas it deems non-life-threatening. Okay, so if there is too much toxic cells and the body's trying to get rid of it, but the liver's backed up, the colon's backed up, we're not pooping enough, we're not sweating, the lymphatic system is sluggish, then our body will take these cells that are harming the functioning of the body and put them somewhere. And that's how tumors are created. And that's also inflammation. That's the example I put was for arthritis. These inflammatory or toxic cells will be placed in the joints to get them out of the way so that the body can function. And that's how cancers can be created as well. So another thing that the body does to help maintain homeostasis is it uses, the microbes work with us. I shouldn't say uses, we are in a symbiotic relationship with microbes, which help us eliminate toxins as well. So when the toxic load becomes too great to manage, these microbes that are part of us, we actually have more microbe cells in our body than we do actually human body cells. So they're part of us, whether we like it or not. And they step in to help with clearing, digesting, and eliminating the said toxicity. So if the job is still too much to handle with these microbes that have been sequestered, and they will, then the body will start creating symptoms of what we call maybe disease like cold and flus. So it'll start creating mucus and coughing symptoms so that we can excrete all these toxic cells and this debris. This can also be a cyclical thing that happens once a year, just as trees excrete their leaves, the dead cells. Our bodies do that too. It's a cycle. The things that we no longer need, the toxic cells that have run their course, we excrete them. But if our elimination and excretion pathways are not working, then we can exhibit these signs of sickness. and mucus formation, inflammation. Let's see, what did I put here? So the thing about the microbes on our body, in our body, they are our friends. They are pleomorphic, meaning they can change their form to fit function. So a fungus can become a bacteria, can become a virus. So where they are needed, depending on what function is needed in the body, they can change their cells, or they change their form to fit that function to assist our body in clearing that debris. And this is an example. For example, yeast and candida attracted and sequestered for heavy metal buildup because that is their food. They get rid of the metal. So instead of working on fighting the yeast or candida as the culprit or the thing making you sick, it's actually the metals that have attracted the yeast. So if you get rid of the metals, then the yeast will go away. Same goes for parasites, which we all have. Another unpopular truth. Toxic buildup in the bowels can create mucus, which are great homes for parasites. Therefore, getting rid of their home or furniture of the parasites, that will invite the parasites to leave your body. And they will if they don't have a home anymore. So this leads us back to nutrition. In order for our body to be able to get rid of toxicity, we need certain vitamins and minerals and a relaxed nervous system. So this is about what environment do we create to help our body function at its best. So understanding the function of the liver is key in understanding how to prevent disease. The liver and the lymphatic system are really like the sewer system. So that's kind of the main elimination pathway, I would say. So assisting the liver to upregulate or optimize liver function will create a state of homeostasis in the body. And some of the things that the liver needs are zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, proper clean water are components of this functioning. And so now, with this in mind, and how the body is really in a state of always trying to maintain homeostasis and balance, what about colds and flus? Is there really a microbe out there that is floating around that can make us sick? And here's where I'm assuming I may trigger some belief systems. So now that we know about pleomorphism and how microbes are helping us maintain a clean terrain by helping us get rid of toxicity, we see their function very differently. And for example, if you have a pile of garbage, and then you have a bunch of flies surrounding that garbage, would you blame the flies for the garbage? Or are the flies just there because of the garbage? And that is what I invite you to consider when we think about stuff like viruses and bacteria. As the flies, are we blaming the viruses and bacteria for the garbage? Or is it the garbage that attracted these microbes? Another example I was given was, did the firemen create the fire? Just because you see a bunch of firemen at a fire, does that mean they created it? No, the event attracted the firemen to the fire. So it's a real shift in what we've been told and how to think about it. And it's also very empowering when you realize that if you can create an environment in your body that doesn't require these microbes to proliferate in an attempt to clean the terrain and get rid of these toxins, then you won't have this detox purging event with the microbes proliferating, creating the mucus and the inflammation. So this leads us to really question what we've been taught about contagion, what Western medicine teaches us about contagion. And if this is something that is new to you, I would just invite you to just ask yourself how it feels in your gut, to think about it with an open mind. Is it really a small particle flying around on surfaces, ready to pounce? Or is it an expression of toxicity triggered by a stressful event, a lack of sleep, or chaotic resonance? And by chaotic resonance, I mean certain EMF exposures, which are increasing these days. Why are symptoms of the cold and flu different each year then? Why are people saying, this certain virus this year was particularly awful, or it created these certain symptoms, but different symptoms in each person? Well, I would invite you to consider that the toxic load in each person is different because the nutrition is different and the chemicals they're using are different. But the trigger could be the same. For example, an EMF exposure could trigger these toxins to be agitated, and that is your body helping you to get rid of them. Stressful events, as well as lack of sleep, can create these events where the body really just is trying to clear toxicity. We are energetic beings, therefore we are always giving off and absorbing a resonance. We have energy centers in our body. The cells are always vibrating and moving. And so when we are exposed to different frequencies that maybe don't resonate with us, or chaotic frequencies, then it can definitely trigger responses. And I think that this is another way to look at contagion, how being around, why would a certain household all get sick at the same time? Saying that it was because a virus was going around is an assumption based on the germ theory, which has actually been disproven, as I'm explaining now. In the mainstream, it's still being pushed because it is a moneymaker and it is disempowering and helps to control populations. But if you look at scientific studies, you can see that it does not hold water. That we are energetic beings and we are affected by the frequencies around us. So we know we have pheromones, and an example of this is how women, when women get together and reside together, their periods can sync up, and that's because of pheromones. Another example of this is attracting a mate. We're attracted to certain pheromones. And so pheromones can also be responsible for activating these detox triggers within households or within people that are in close proximity, because we receive information from other people. And if there's a certain toxin that we're exposed to, we may receive that information from our roommate or from a family member saying, hey, our cells can say, hey, I sensed this toxin in our environment. I'm going to get rid of it. You should too. And then our body will excrete. So it's a different way and a more empowering way to look at contagion, because if we are supportive in maintaining our elimination pathways, our liver function, our kidneys, our skin, our breath, then we're not going to have these really horrific detox expressions. It may be we may still have a detox expression, but it won't be as severe. So that's a lot. Let me check how we're doing with time. I'm kind of rambling. Okay. So now that we've kind of gone over what actually makes us sick, what do we do with this information? And I just listed 8 things that we can do, and it's a lot. So I invite you to just take your time with it, and just start. It's an invitation to start learning and start setting small goals. If you're not already, maybe reaching out for help with a health coach or a professional who can help you with some of these things. So number 1 is noticing your beliefs around contagion and disease. Is it a superstition? Are you a victim to, your environment, to your genetics? Or can you realize that you can create your own radiant health through your intentions and actions by nurturing your body with what it needs, by making sure, like I said, it's that elimination pathways, detoxing, learning about herbs that can help support your liver and kidneys, lymphatic massage, and skin, exfoliating the skin to make sure that it can sweat. And number 2, stop poisoning ourselves. That's huge. So our nutrition, a lot of it is literally poison. The top 3 culprits, I believe, for people that I have seen as a health coach and nurse: sugar, gluten, and dairy. If you're going to start creating your most radiant health, I would invite you to eliminate these things from your diet. First of all, the sugar, we know it is absolutely toxic for our metabolism. It creates an acidic environment. Gluten, it wreaks havoc on our guts. And a lot of it has to do with glyphosates that are in things that are in gluten things. So it kind of goes together. Dairy, pasteurization of dairy is huge, as well as just very mucus forming and inflammatory. Petrochemicals. So pharmaceuticals are made of petrochemicals. The Rockefeller medicine, which kind of started this whole germ theory superstition. They learned about 100 years ago that if they kind of disempowered people to believe that they were at the mercy of germs, then they could sell more petrochemicals. They actually were an oil company, and that's where the drugs came in. Tap water, so making sure you're getting clean, filtered, even structured water, and that's a whole nother topic as well. And metal and fluorides that are in the air, in our toothpaste, in our products. These are things that are poisoning us that we can minimize with our knowledge. Sorry about the noise. I got the landscapers out there. Okay, and then number 3 is mitigating our environmental toxins like EMFs as much as possible. And that I touched on earlier. Turning off our phones at night, airplane mode if we're not using it, turning off our Wi-Fi. And something I forgot to mention earlier is grounding. Grounding actually can help to harmonize our energies. So if we're around a lot of these EMFs, that's a chaotic signal for our cells. Grounding onto the earth actually helps to pull these negative ions out into the earth and balance and harmonize our energies with the earth, because we are made of the elements of the earth. So it's really important. 20 minutes a day, and that can actually help decrease inflammation as well, just by putting our feet on the ground. If that's not possible, like if you're in a snowy, cold area, touching a tree, because trees are very grounding and healing, or having stones, crystals, or like putting stones in a bath or a foot bath can also help with this. Let's see. Number 4, enhance the elimination pathways. And this is huge. And this is something that I love to talk about and I love to learn more about all the time. So the lymphatic, there are different ways you can help your lymphatic system, like rebounder, those little trampolines are really good. Like if you're bouncing, lymphatic massage, you can actually take your fingers and rubbing up and down where your lymphatic nodes are here. And then the back of the head. There's Qigong practices that you can use for lymphatic massage. That's a whole, like I said, a whole nother, oh, that feels good. Just doing that. We've got lymph nodes here, under our arms, all throughout our body. So learning a lymphatic self-massage is really amazing. Also for our energy, just feeling clearer and brighter just within a few minutes of doing that. The lymph, like I said, is the sewage system. So it's taking all the toxins out of the blood and cleaning the blood, dumping it into the portal vein, the liver system for elimination through the colon. So we need to support the liver as well as having things flowing properly with the lymph. So fluids and the kidneys, our water balance is important. And there's homeopathics and herbs we can use to help flush these systems and get them optimized. Enemas are amazing for clearing out the colon. Coffee enemas actually stimulate the glutathione production, which is important in detoxing as well, creating NAC, I'm not going to say it right. NAC it stands for, but that all helps the liver. And there are lots of different ways to detox. There's different ways to parasite cleanse. There's different ways to get the metals out. The Mother Nature and homeopathy and Chinese medicine has given us so many options. And that's why I said being able to tune into your intuition is so important, to know what resonates with you at that time. Maybe trying different things. I would always suggest, if you're going to start detoxing, to really start with the liver, like making sure before you're taking the herbs to flush, making sure you've optimized your liver by doing, and your kidneys, by doing some sort of homeopathic and enema to make sure your colon and your bowel movements are moving properly. And then we could get into more of the things to bind to the toxins as well, like diatomaceous earth is great for parasites. Activated charcoal is great for pulling toxins. MSM sulfur, there's different sulfur compounds. DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. So many different ways to do this. Dandelion tea is supportive for kidney function. So that is something that is individual, and you have to really tune in and talk to somebody who has experienced it, who has studied it, and who can maybe help guide you, and doing your own research as well about what your goals are. It's important. Number 5 is trauma healing, emotional intelligence. So, and that could be inner child healing, getting to know yourself, what triggers you, and questioning why you may have certain triggers, and learning self-soothing If you have anxiety, stress, learning how to, and that comes into the next one, stress management, meditation, breath work. Meditation could be going for a walk or sitting and contemplating, just contemplating, sitting with yourself for a few minutes a day and thinking. It doesn't have to be like some sort of fancy yogic thing, although it could, there's so many different ways of meditation. And that's another thing that you could look into, what resonates most with you. A lot of people don't think of like even extreme sports I see as meditation, like if you, because it's taking you out of that the monkey mind where you're like many of our thoughts, something like 95% of our thoughts are actually on repeat, like just because it's our habitual thoughts. And so meditation, the goal of that is like to take yourself out of that so you can be the observer. You can observe what is actually going on in your mind and realize that you are not your thoughts. You can observe your thoughts, you can choose your thoughts. And so anything that can take you out of that, biking, surfing, snowboarding, takes you out of your mind because you're in the moment. It's all about being present in the moment. Number 7 is proper sleep. I love using magnesium to help me sleep. And sleep is so important because it helps you be in that healing state. That's where the repair is done. And it's also where, if you're having a really crappy day, feeling down, sleep can help reset that as well. So sometimes just taking a nap is really, really healing. And then intending to wake up with a different affirmation, a different intention. And of course, exercise, enhancing circulation, lymphatic drainage, and sweating to help get toxins out. Check the time again here. Okay. So this was a lot of information. Thank you so much for being present and taking it in. So just a few tips on where to start. Always start small if this has been overwhelming. I know it's a lot. Set attainable goals. Start with your mindset and your why. And that will always, if you have a strong why, that's always something that you can go back to help with discipline. I know that some habits are really tough to kick, like sugar, for example, and dairy. Like, oh, I love cheese. And also knowing that you don't have to suffer. You can find alternatives. Like there's a lot, like you can have fun with it. There's a lot of healthier recipes you can find out there. And I encourage going to local farmers markets where there's people that create more natural, healthy alternatives to skin, to cleaning, to food. That's always a great place to start. And self-awareness, notice the toxic habits and then gradually eliminate them, making small goals and celebrating when you reach your goals. Maybe just each day can be one little thing. Maybe if changing your whole diet and exercising is too much, pick one. Just exercise once that day. And then the next day that you can be, okay, I'm going to eat an apple today. Little by little to get there and celebrate so you can feel successful with these little goals. It helps to get accountability and support. Make sure you're supporting your elimination pathways and proper nutrition. So if you're not sure where to start, reach out. This is what I do. So if you're interested in chatting with me, I invite you to book a call. I love this stuff. I'm passionate about it. And I know that we're all individual. And I also believe that you are the best authority on your own health. So you know what you need. You know where you need to start. You know what you need to eliminate. You know what is holding you back. And sometimes there's a layer of resistance there that just need sometimes to talk it out. And that's what I'm here for, as well as accountability. And the last thing I put there was ABDs, always be detoxing. In our toxic environment, we always need to be on top of our detox game, doing something every day. And that could be as simple as lemon water in the morning to help activate that liver function. Lemon water helps prime the whole system. If you have it on an empty stomach, that will be a detox in itself. Intermittent fasting is also amazing. Eating mono fruits or just having melons in the morning actually works as an astringent to pull toxins out of the blood. So there's 3 simple ways to start. Just thinking about detoxing. Those are simple ones, and then you could go as far as the parasite cleanses and always start simple though. Make sure the elimination pathways are optimized, and then get into the more heavier detoxing. So there's a process to it. You are more than just your physical body. And I'll close with this. Mind, body, spirit. This is what I build my business on. And you can't address one without the other. They're all intermingled. So the mind, how do we address it? With meditation and contemplation, noticing your beliefs, noticing where you self-sabotage if you do, and then creating affirmations and visualizing your success. Very important. The body, you are made of elements of the earth. So ground yourself, have a relationship with the earth. Use the earth as your medicine. We are built to be in a symbiotic relationship with the earth. It's who we are. Spirit, nurture your divine connection, pray. And this will enhance your intuition, and it will enhance your ability to sense when what your body needs and how to nurture it the best. And I believe, yes, that was it. So thank you so much for being with me today. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if this is something that you would like to talk more about. And I'd love to chat with you and talk about if and how I can support you on your journey to radiant health. Thank you so much again, and I will talk to you soon.